We have to tell you what happened out at Willard Airport. We were there for another story when the storm hit. We were covering that American Airlines planes flying out of Willard are going to be bigger. Now, all of those flights have been canceled. About 1:30, a shelf cloud came up to the airport. Then a huge swoosh of wind hit. It didn't let up. Branches were breaking. A picnic table was lifted from the grass into the parking lot. There was debris from the roof flying all around. In fact, a large portion of the roof was ripped off and landed in a corner outside of the terminal. Inside, part of the ceiling fell down and water was rushing in. Sounded like a waterfall out there. All of this happened with the airport running on generators because the power went out. Emergency crews were out there soon after the storm passed to fix the roof. Airport officials say the runway is safe for planes to land. If need be, the FAA requires that if somebody has to make an emergency landing. But with the power shortage, TSA couldn't stream passengers for takeoff. So that's the situation out there at Willard Airport. Now we are, I believe, going to Sydney, where people are already cleaning up the mess the storm left behind. That's where we find WCIA3's Amanda Brennan live. Amanda, what is it like out there?
Jennifer, take a look at this neighborhood. Like you said, over my shoulder, this tree is completely... It's going over the front porch of that house that you see here. I'm not far from downtown either. This is right in the main area of Sydney. I've been here for about 2 hours. Let's take a look at some of that other damage that I found. So first we go over to the north part, just north of the Sydney Dairy Barn, where the fire department was there. They were taking care of a downed tree that went from one person's driveway over to another. They were also checking on other neighborhoods with some pretty bad damage. Now, I also talked to a farmer who was out in his fields today when the storm rolled in. He was about 6 miles south of Sydney, and he said he couldn't even see the front of his tractor. He says some crop damage happened in his field, but also at his home.
It pushed over two of our big trees here. That tree over there got a big limb came out of it too. So the straight line winds just pushed the thing over. As you can see, there's leaves up on top of the tool shed. It was just unbelievable.
But he says, if anything, he is thankful for the rain. He measured about 1 inch and says it's important for his crops. Now, I also talked to Sydney Dairy Barn's owner today when we were out assessing the damage. She says that they don't have power, and tonight at 6, I'll tell you what happens if the power isn't restored soon. Reporting live in Sydney, I'm Amanda Brennan, WCIA3, your local news leader.
All right, Amanda, thank you so much. Now moving out of Champaign County into Sangamon, Chatham, and other areas just south of Springfield were hit hard by those storms. Damage can be seen for large stretches of county roads and into town. Our Capitol Bureau Chief Cole Henke is live in Chatham for us now. And Cole, what have you been seeing out there?
Well, right now I am in Veteran Memorial Square here in Chatham, and there are a bunch of trees in this small little park here in town, and every single one of them, not a single one, was spared from wind damage here. And honestly, it's a perfect encapsulation of what I've seen driving around here in Chatham and in Springfield and just the areas outside of it. Wind damage, storm damage, knocking over trees, blowing over some barns into some cornfields. Whole lot of damage out here, and it's just been extremely extensive with thousands left without power as well. And just behind me here, you can also see there was a building that the roof of that building blew off completely. You can see where the storm really tracked right through with the tops of tree branches getting ripped off as well. The roof blowing off that building and landing on a church right here next to me as well. We're going to have more on that and the damage they're seeing and the efforts they have to clean all of this up coming up a little bit later. Reporting live in Chatham, I'm Cole Henke, WCIA3, your local news leader.
All right, Cole, thanks so much. We've got reporters there, but of course, like we were saying, damage all across central Illinois. We weren't able to get out everywhere, but that's why we are so happy those viewers out there are sending in pictures.
You guys sent us some pictures, and even like it took me hours sifting through all these photos here, and one is just like the other one there. That is in Mahomet. Power lines down there. Our own Brett Behrens, he had some wind damage in his backyard over there. look at this corn in Pasodum. I mean, that is, it's flattened. Now, you hope, and sometimes that corn can come back up. Just kind of depends upon how bad the winds were. So, you know, obviously not great. You know, first the farmers dealing with the drought conditions. We finally get rain, and then boom, we get winds like this that flatten some of the corn there. Oakland, there's a grain bin there, and you can see some of the damage sustained there. And again, that was the thing. It was everywhere. St. Joe. There's pictures there, as you can see, of the power lines, or I should say the trees down. But the one thing that we definitely have a lot of, many of you are dealing with, well, it's the power lines that continue to cause issues across the area of being out. That's in Pana. Snapped, and it's kind of like dominoes sometimes. I know linemen tell me, you know, sometimes when one goes, another one will go one after another, and that's what's happening. And there's a lot of people without power. Let's send things over to meteorologist Seth Bonoff. And Seth, you're crunching the numbers out there after what was some really high winds that we had.
Yeah, we're just going to basically take a little bit of an overview here real quick just of how strong some of those winds were. You saw gusts actually hit 80 miles an hour over there in Coles County. And a lot of these places here, keep in mind, you've got Macon County on there, Champaign County, Vermilion County. A lot of those places you're going to see here again really quickly as we take a look here at our current outage map, which shows a lot of purple and maroon dots on it, which is something that we usually don't see a ton of just because of severe weather. Usually during like the winter time, you'll see this map just colored there with all of these purples and maroons. But as you can see, Champaign, Douglas, Coles, Vermilion, all kinds of places there with those purple. That means over 5,000 outages. We have over 200,000 statewide outages here. And here's just the raw numbers there, close to 32,000 Vermilion, close to 30,000 in Champaign, also near 20,000 there in Macon. But also worth noting, the numbers are important, but around 91% of all of Edgar County is without power, and 85% of Vermilion County there is without power. That is all according there to our outage.us. So that's how things look right now. Of course, there's going to be a long night. Hoping to get some of that power back here tonight. That's all we've got over here for now. We'll send it back over to Jennifer at the desk.
All right, Seth, thank you. There is other news today besides the weather. The Supreme Court has made a big decision about affirmative action. We'll tell you what it means for the admissions process and the U of I reaction to it. And it's a show all about fancy food. We'll show you some products that could be on your shelves soon.
From your local news leader, Jennifer Roscoe, Brandon Morano, and Central Illinois' most accurate forecast with meteorologist Kevin Lively. You're watching WCIA 3 News at 5.
How's this sound? Mushroom chips. marshmallows in a can, upcycled yogurt waste. Just some of the many unusual snacks you may soon see at the grocery store, and they were showing them off there. Michael George has more.
The annual Fancy Food Show in New York is a way for old chestnuts and up-and-comers to get people talking and tasting.
Oh my God. It's just like a s'more, like melty, gooey. It's delicious.
Meet the Schmallow, the world's first marshmallow in a can, toasted to perfection.
Marshmallows go stale and they're problematic, so I figured, is there a way to put marshmallows in a can?
Other food innovators are taking trash and turning it into liquid treasure, like Spare Tonic, made from whey discarded in the yogurt making process.
Just this like incredibly nutritionally dense liquid that we're capturing and created this super clean label 4-ingredient drink out of.
Specialty food sales hit $194 billion last year, with salty snacks topping the bestseller list.
Favorite brands like Jelly Belly got their start right here at the Fancy Food Show, and they're still innovating. This year's new flavors are based on popular boba teas.
The show also highlighted 10 brands owned and operated by people of color.
There is a less than 1% amount of venture capital funding that typically goes to people of color.
Carl Franz Williams created Uncle Wafley's Vincy Brew, named for his grandfather.
Particularly within the beverage industry, there is not a lot of diversity, and that's because there are high barriers to entry.
His ginger beer stands out with a spicy kick from Scotch bonnet peppers.
Oh yeah, wow.
It gives our ginger beer a uniquely Caribbean taste that's unmatched.
Some new and diverse flavors, hoping to find a home on store shelves near you. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
We haven't said the word haze yet in this entire newscast. We've been talking about that every single day, and now...
I know, it's interesting. I'm going to show you the air quality map coming up.
Oh, good. Well, I was wondering, is this the rain we needed to get rid of it?
We're going to show you that map to probably give you some good news when we come back. Also, the latest on how there may be more storms on the horizon. We'll show you that next.
Now, Central Illinois' most accurate forecast with meteorologist Kevin Lighty.
Wow, this is what it looked like earlier today in Danville as storms were coming and rolling in. Same thing there into the Charleston area. Big, what we call shelf clouds that moved in. And boy, those storms, just unbelievable to kind of just take a look back at the radar. I mean, look at that thing. That is a nasty looking storm. When it's bowed out like that, the winds are getting pushed, or they're basically just pushing those storms out. And those things left damage from the western part of the viewing area all the way to the eastern part of the viewing area. So many of the pictures you guys have sent us, power lines, trees down. My power is still out in Mahomet at our house, and it's been out, you know, now for almost 4 hours now. And so I know some of you dealing with that as well. I know I was like, oh boy, food in the fridge. Oh boy, sump pump. Oh boy, garage door, you know, electricity to open that up, right? You got to do the old manual thing there. A lot of us dealing with issues out there tonight, but what's going to happen into the day tomorrow? That's a big question. I'm sure you all want to know. Are we going to do this all over again? Well, this is the nice thing. Look at the temperatures. We're in the 60s right now. Feels really good. Readings tonight kind of bouncing a little bit. We're going to stay into the 60s initially, but maybe come up a little bit with readings into the 70s. But here we go again. Possibly some more storms tomorrow, maybe another one Saturday. We're talking about several rounds of these storms to come through, and maybe some severe weather. Here's the Storm Prediction Center outlook again. It's slight risk. I think it's going to be less than what we had today, but there's still going to be a threat again tomorrow morning for some thunderstorms. We're talking about high winds being the biggest threat, similar to what we had today. Now those high temperatures again, back up there into the mid and upper 80s for highs. Heat index values, because when it's not raining and that sun comes out and the humidity's coming up, there may be some heat index values that start to approach the 90s out there, mid 90s in a few spots as well. As I mentioned, we may have a few different rounds of these storms, and a lot of them are favoring kind of the southern half of our viewing area. So depending upon which model you look at, we may do this again Friday morning, Saturday morning, and Sunday morning. The great news is we're getting rain. We're finally getting rain. A lot of it, possibly, over the next 4 to 5 days, upwards of 2 to 3 inches. Look at this map. You kidding me? Just yesterday, we still had the purple. It's green. It's good. How about that? Didn't think we'd see that, right? But things have improved dramatically in the air quality thanks to all of that rain. You can see almost the entire viewing area now looking good. All right, scattered storms still possible again later tonight. Tomorrow's highs back up in the upper 80s. Could see more showers and storms again. And a look at your 7-day forecast, you're going to find those temperatures staying pretty warm for us, but those rain chances do not go away until we get into early next week.
I can't be the only one who's really focused in on what the weekend's going to bring.
Yeah, it's going to be another thing where you're dodging storms, it looks like, but we wished and hoped and needed and prayed for rain for 2 months. Now we're getting it. Sorry it's on your 4th of July holiday weekend, but it is what it is.
All right, Kevin, thank you. Affirmative action was struck down by the highest court. What the governor has to say about the decision. Plus, more money is going into the state's rainy day fund. Just how much was added to make it a milestone?
with Christie Clinic.
This is WCIA3 News, your local news leader.
Governor Pritzker is calling the overturning of affirmative action a travesty. The U.S. Supreme Court decided to end the 45-year ruling that set out to advance equity for university admissions. WCIA3's Ariana Williams is with us. So, Ariana, what does this mean for schools?
It means now universities can consider race in their admissions process. A little background for you. Affirmative action was originally put into place to ensure all applicants were treated equally, regardless of race, color, religion, or sex. But in 2014, the group Students for Fair Admissions filed lawsuits against Harvard and the University of North Carolina. The founder claimed the policy put white and Asian American students at a disadvantage. Today, the court agreed with that by a 6-3 vote. Governor Pritzker says affirmative action practices were a critical step in creating a diverse educational environment. And the decision sets us all back. The U of I says it will carefully review the Supreme Court's decision to ensure it's following the laws, but it will continue to open its doors so all deserving students, including those for whom opportunities may have been unfairly limited. The U of I's full statement can be found on our website, WCIA3.com. Back to you.
All right, thank you so much. State officials say Illinois' rainy day fund is about to hit a historic milestone. Today, Comptroller Susana Mendoza deposited $200 million into it. That brings the total fund to nearly $2 billion. Mendoza calls this a tremendous accomplishment for Illinois, saying it will keep the state prepared for any economic downturns.
We are preparing to protect taxpayer-funded budgets with our emergency reserve. In the case of an unexpected catastrophe or economic crisis through no fault of our own, Illinois will now be much better prepared than we have been in decades.
The governor's office projects the fund will exceed $2 billion at the end of the upcoming fiscal year. This year's budget sets aside an additional $138 million for it. We're going to be right back.
CIA3.
Time-lapse view as the storms rolled in. I want to show you this on our cameras here. You can see there it is in Danville, the big shelf cloud that many of you kind of saw rolling across the sky. Then the winds picked up, and then the rain and the storms. That was the view there. We also have another view from Charleston, that same kind of spaceship-looking kind of cloud. This is what brought all of that. The leading edge of that, look at this kind of curling into town in Charleston. That is just... Whoa. From a meteorological perspective, I mean, that's such an interesting thing to watch and see, but that's what brings those really strong gusty winds on the leading kind of edge of that as those winds come funneling down. Things are going to be calming down here this evening, but they could ramp up again early tomorrow morning. A lot of damage, trees, power lines down everywhere. We've had so many reports, still sifting through a lot of them.
But tomorrow... morning storms?
Morning
rain.
storms again tomorrow, possibly. Okay. So keep tuning in tonight. We'll keep you updated on the severe weather threat.
All right, Kevin, thank you. And thank you for being here. We'll see you again with much more tonight at 6. The CBS Evening News is next.
This is your WCIA3 forecast first, sponsored by Route 66 Solar.
It was an active late morning and early afternoon across parts of central Illinois as severe storms that looked really scary, sounded scary, and left behind a lot of damage across parts of central Illinois. Let's take a look at what's happening right now because things have calmed down considerably from what the radar looked like just a few hours ago as a long line of bowed echo of thunderstorms raced across. Every one of those little icons, that's a storm damage report. 171 of those that you're looking at on your screen there, and a lot of them right here into central Illinois. Much cooler with the rain that moved through, readings in the 60s now, but guess what? There could be more storms on the way. We're tracking the next round, and we'll have that coming up. WCIA3 News starts right now.
You're watching your local news leader. This is WCIA3 News at 6.
It's the scene for much of central Illinois this evening, from Farmer City to Toledo, Chatham to Ridge Farm, and everywhere in between. Communities all over are cleaning up the mess from today's storms. Good evening. I'm Marley Capper.
And I'm Jennifer Roscoe. What's left behind tonight are downed trees, damaged cars, and tens of thousands across our viewing area without power. We have team coverage for you tonight. WCIA3's Cole Henke is live in Sangamon County. Our chief meteorologist Kevin Lighty here in our weather center, and Amanda Brennan in rural Champaign County. We're going to start with Cole. Okay, so what did you see when you were out checking damage?
Well, there is extensive damage throughout Chatham and most of Sangamon County because of these storms. Right now, I'm towards the center of town here in Chatham, and you can almost trace the path of the storm here. Behind me, you can see some pretty extensive damage. This Masonic Lodge here in Chatham, the roof completely torn off, and it flew over all the way onto this church right next door. People have been cleaning it up all day, trying to clear off the roof, patch it up, and just get the debris out of the way in case some more weather happens to come through. But after the roof got torn off, there was still extensive damage to the inside of the Masonic Lodge as well.
Temporarily, but the inside is also, it's a mess. It's not that the inside roof is completely missing, but a lot of water got through and a lot of plaster and stuff laid all over.
Now, the other thing that you can see driving around central Illinois are downed power lines everywhere, and it's resulted in a lot of power outages. According to Ameren, Illinois, central Illinois, 169,000 Ameren customers right now without power, according to their latest numbers. And up in Springfield, where they have the city-operated City Water, Light, and Power, they have extensive outages as well. Nearly 40,000 customers up there out of power. That's almost 50% of their base. So, like I said, extensive damage all throughout this part of the state. Reporting in Chatham, I'm Cole Henke, WCIA3, your local news leader.
And that power loss, not good for some pumps that need to keep working, air conditioners because it's warm, and fans. All right, Cole, thank you so much. The storm also caused damage to Willard Airport.
That's right. You're taking a live look as crews are just finishing repairing parts of the roof that winds ripped off. The winds also caused a power outage there. All commercial flights are canceled while the building is being repaired. A few people were outside when the shelf cloud rolled in. They say they witnessed quite the show.
Next thing I knew, there was see that picnic bench over there? That was way over in the other side of the parking lot, and I saw that lift and just go flying. And then at that point, they were pulling some people in, and I saw someone needed help, so I directed one of the airport people to help out with the person that was struggling to get.
Part of the ceiling also fell, letting large amounts of rainwater pour onto the terminal floor. Officials say there's no timeline for those repairs. Kevin, there was quite the afternoon for you and your team today. Are we finally in the clear?
We're in the clear for now, but there are more storms that are set to move in for tomorrow morning. But that damage, we're trying to cover as many areas that we can, but so many of you had damage. The power lines down that we've been kind of talking about here. Even around Brett Behrens' backyard, he had trees down. But look at this. Oh, man, you just hate to see it. These farmers that have been dealing with the drought conditions, this is in Pasodum, some of that corn laid down there. Now, sometimes it can bounce back depending upon how bad the winds were, and we'll see, but not good. And there you go. That's Oakland. More grain bins that have been destroyed there. And then St. Joe. So many of those trees. And I got to tell you, you know, not just the trees there, but look at some of these really, I mean, it's a healthy looking tree. That's a big tree right there. That was in the Springfield area. And then, of course, all of those power lines, that's down in Pana. And a lot of times, the way this goes, you'll get one that will snap. The tension on those power lines is incredible, and it'll snap the next one and then the next one down the line. You can see several of those there. Power crews out and about doing their best to try to restore power. I'm one of those customers at my home in Mama that still doesn't have power. Haven't had it here since this afternoon, and dealing with the same issue so many other people are. AC, refrigerator, you know, what are you doing here? So touching home here to me here as well. So a lot of damage out there, and there's still more storms to come. We'll talk about that coming up.
All right, Kevin, thanks for your work today. We continue our team coverage this evening with WCIA3's Amanda Brennan.
She's live in Sydney. That's where people are already cleaning up the damage left behind from those strong winds. Amanda, one neighbor came home to something he never imagined.
That's right. Mike Roy was at work in Champaign when his wife called him. She was scared in the basement and said that she heard glass breaking. Then, when it was safe to come out, this is what she saw. I'm going to step out of the way for you here. This is their house, and look at the side of it. Right through the top. This is at 100+ years. Lots of memories. Now his family's busy contacting insurance agencies. They don't have power. They're trying to safely cut down the branches that they can get to from the ground.
It just takes time to get, with all the other damage around town, and there's some other homes that are damaged. You know, we're one of a number, I'm sure, and the big thing is to get power back on and, you know, streets opened and, you know, get people safe.
He also works with the emergency service department here in Sydney, so I asked if anyone was hurt. He says right now everyone is okay. Now, I also checked in with dairy there a couple of hours ago when we were looking at all of the damage throughout Sydney. I talked to the owner there while she was out picking up branches. She says that they don't have power. I just checked in with her via text. They're still out of power. If they don't get it restored soon, that means they can lose their products. Definitely a big hit here in Sydney. It's a place that people love to spend their summers. You can still hear around me coming down, and the cleanup is just getting started. For now, reporting live in Sydney, I'm Amanda, WCIA3 News Leader.
All right, Amanda, thank you so much. And of course, dozens of other communities were rocked by the weather this afternoon. Head on over to our website, WCIA.com. Right now, we have an article on our homepage where you can see all of your photos from all over central Illinois. We'll also have more coverage of the storms for you in our second half hour, and of course, tonight at 10.